Did you text Kirby, see if he's showing up for episode 228?
I have messaged him in the chat to see if he is.
All right. Maybe he'll just tell him to click on the link and he can jump right in.
Linky poo.
He was here for episode 227. See, there was a 7 in there. That's why he showed up.
Yeah. Well, that was part of it.
Yeah.
And you even you named the episode after him, too.
Yeah, it was a 7XL invasion.
That was an invasion angle.
Yeah. WCW invasion.
See, I know my wrestling lingo.
I know, man. Oh, which reminds me, you need to run down to Hogan's Beach Shop and pick me up an action figure autographed by him. It's only like $280.
I was just there the other day.
You were?
Yeah, I sent you all the pictures in the chat of being at the beach shop. Sent you the pictures of the belts. Sent you the Thunder Lips.
Oh wait, you went there on the 17th then?
No. I went there just like a few days ago.
Because they had something going on July 17th.
Yeah, I didn't attend that. It was just I happened to be down there. Spencer and I went down towards that area.
Yeah, I did see the photos. I thought they were just photos that you had from, back when you were there.
No, I actually went.
Wow. Okay. So what'd you guys get? Anything?
What did we get? Well, Spencer thought it was he was just amazed that this guy Hulk Hogan has a whole shop dedicated towards him. He was like, just the generation differences,
Right.
He's just like, who is Hulk Hogan? Not that he doesn't know him, but I think he was more like just impressed that this guy has a whole shop name. I'm like, there's actually multiple. He's got 2 of these shops, and
he opened up the restaurant in Clearwater.
Yeah, I mean he really does. Unless you're from the 80s or the 90s, it's kind of doesn't mean a lot to you, I guess. I mean, you still know who he is, but I mean, of famous celebrities, we talked about this a couple times in the chat with Kirby, when he was talking about, the 49ers and stuff like that. And I mean, in terms of celebrities and names, name recognition, he has to be very high on the list. Hulk Hogan. I mean, it has to be a name that ranks really, really high on.
Right up there with Tom Brady.
You know what Spencer actually brought up to me? The Formula One driver, Lewis Hamilton. He has over 22 million followers, and Tom Brady has 9 million. Pretty impressive when you think, considering all of Brady's success.
Well, they don't like football over there.
Well, yeah, but that shouldn't really matter because it's worldwide, So,
I guess you got me there.
Yeah, I mean, when he told me that, I was kind of amazed.
9 million followers on what?
I don't know if it was Facebook or if it was Instagram, one of the two. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, it was like 22 million something. And considering, let's look it up right now on Instagram. Tom Brady. There he is. Got the check mark. I don't want to see your story. Yeah, so 9.9 million followers. I mean, he's only posted 659 times. It's pretty lame for a superstar.
Yeah, what the hell?
Lewis. There's Lewis Hamilton, check mark. 23.2 million.
All right.
So that was Instagram.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that statistic. Those are
Well,
nice. Those are some nice double D's.
yep. And as we'd like to point out, interestingly enough, that was Allison's, our first tire that we came out with, and Allison named it.
Allison.
So Allison named it. Yep.
Oh boy.
And it's been a very successful tire over the years.
Wonder how she came up with that name.
Well, if you care, there on the tire itself, there's actually in the center, it looks like there's two D's back to back. So double D's. So in the center, there's actually
I was thinking something else, but okay, yeah.
There's two features. There's two features that are back to back that look like two D's back to back. So double D's.
Gotcha. All right. Bill says F1 is huge in some countries, getting 50% of the households watching a race. Wow.
Yeah, which I think is, obviously that's true. But I know when I was in Finland the first time in 1999, families watched the Formula One races like maybe you'd watch the Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, I mean, he's almost got 3 times the amount of followers as Tom Brady. So, if you're somebody looking to, sponsor somebody, support somebody, we talked about this in the chat earlier about, is that Simone? Is that her name? We're talking about her sponsors.
Yeah. The gymnast. I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I think, must be Simone. Let's see how many she's got. She's got 5.5 million followers. And she says that on her bio here, she's got the check mark too. Olympic gold medalist, dog mom, just laughing through life, pizza connoisseur. So she likes pizza.
Can't blame her there.
No. I wonder if she likes the Pizza Hut breadsticks like you like.
Man, I haven't been in a Pizza Hut since pandemic broke out. Yeah.
It was a breakout.
I don't even know if they're still. I guess they are now. You could sit down at the restaurant. So I might have to make a trip.
Go in there. I remember back in the day, people make memes about this, but it was so true. Like you would go to a Pizza Hut and it was like a real meal. You know what I mean? Like you would sit down and they'd bring the thing out to you in like those, heavy cast iron.
Yeah.
Plates or
I think they still do.
Dishes. Do they really do that?
Yeah, I think they still have them.
And then they'd have video games you could play there. Stand-ups. I don't know did they have the sit-down video games too?
Mine did. Had like the Pac-Man table.
Yeah.
That used to be the place to go after races too. RC race. Just head out to a Pizza Hut somewhere. Where's the local Pizza Hut?
The one I have in my hometown's been there ever since I've lived here. My whole life it's been there.
Ah, man, you're lucky. Ours closed up. It's too expensive for this area.
You remember when you would get in like grade school, they had the book it thing. You'd get the stickers, and like if you read like so many books, you could get like Pizza Hut stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was awesome.
That was a fun time.
I sucked at that, but Allison said she just killed it with those,
Damn.
getting those, because she would just read like, mad.
Couldn't you like BS your way through that though?
I don't know. Look at Will. He still has some of
Will
those buttons.
Will says, I want one of those always time for pizza clocks they used to have at Pizza Hut. But you might be able to get one on eBay.
Yeah, like I got my video camera. I should bring in my video camera.
You should. Will brings. I still have those buttons. What's he talking? Oh, is
So,
it?
so like I was saying it was a sticker, but he has probably had a button, with the. Yeah, those were some good days. But yeah, the old followers on Instagram. There you have it.
Rick says, evening guys. What up? So Fuzzbite's new NCTS spec tires on black carpet?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We haven't gotten to that. Will be the last race in Minnesota this year. We're not sure what we're gonna do there. Last year we ran the Swaggers and the Twin Pins.
The Jack Swaggers. We the people.
So, if we do use them, it would be in Minnesota, but I don't know if we will. The race on turf will still be running the Nessies there, most likely, and the Swagger fronts. That always was a good combo there at RC Madness. Got to get that right, because Chris Marcy, one time I said RC Excitement, and he's like, "Look, it's RC Madness," and I was like,
"Yeah, but you corrected yourself."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, sorry."
Don't.
I didn't even know what I was saying. I was doing it on the live video. He's like, "Man, you said the wrong name." I was like, "Oh man, sorry."
Rick says he's hearing they are testing pretty well down there.
Oh yeah, it's the Fuzz Bites have been a great tire. It's a carpet, definitely the carpet tire to have, I think.
Oh, Spencer in the chat. Spencer, check out the shirt, buddy.
That goes with his goat. Goes with his goat shirt. So when you say you're the goat, does that mean like you're only saying that
Greatest of all time?
But in your sport, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah, in the sport, you're not saying it.
But you could be the greatest of all time of anything, right?
You could claim yourself to be the greatest of all. I could claim myself to be the greatest of all time of something.
Right.
Though I'm not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can just
you
can make all these claims.
Yeah, Simone, she wears the goat on her gymnast outfit, which you don't like her doing. But
no,
I think it's pretty damn cool. If you know you're good, you could back it up.
Yeah, it definitely did not work out in her advantage here.
But it has in the past, so she's good. And
oh yeah,
she's wearing the goat on her sleeve, and I think she even had earrings or something with the goat. I don't know, but
had a pillow.
I'm a big fan of that stuff. Yeah, because there's no, what was it, Jason? No medals for being humble. So
there you go.
I wish some of these RC guys would put a goat on their cars. Well, it could be just Mayfield.
Goat.
Spencer was wearing a goat shirt though, so
I
think Spencer was claiming he was the goat, because we were talking about Mayfield possibly being a goat, and then Spencer shows up in a video with the goat shirt on. I think there was a message being sent there by Spencer.
Yeah, he was sending that message.
I think he was. But yeah, John says she is so good, people are complaining. Okay. I never even watched her. I never even seen a clip, to be honest with you. I didn't know much about her. Kirby seemed to know a lot about her today when we were talking about it in the chat.
He knew a lot.
I had no idea it sounds weird, but I had no idea she won gold medals in the past and stuff, so I didn't.
Yeah, I mean that's why
didn't follow it.
With the making the goat references.
Well, I just figured she just came on the scene now and she's like really good, so she's like, "Hey, look, I'm awesome. Here's a goat." I don't know, but when Kirby dropped that info, I was like, oh damn. Well, guess what I just said doesn't help my cause.
What was the old Saturday Night Live routine? I'm just a caveman. I don't understand your modern ways. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Guy used to do a skit where I think he was a caveman, and was it Phil Hartman? Did he do it? One of those guys where I think you, and then people would talk about stuff, and he would say, I'm just a caveman and I don't understand your modern ways. And that's pretty much as the shtick.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring that up.
All right. That sounds funny.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Matt says track in general thoughts / predictions for the 10 scale Nats this year. Jason, you just came back from doing a test session with Spencer at the track.
Yeah. Well,
in beautiful Gettysburg, Maryland.
Yeah. And, we flew into Baltimore. Hagerstown.
Okay.
There's something in Hagerstown?
I thought there was. I don't. There used to be a track then back in the day. There used to be. There was one in Maryland. It was called the Off Road Headquarters.
Okay, I don't remember that.
And it was. I want to say Rockville, Maryland. I could be wrong on that, but I went there a few times. It was really awesome. But they closed up.
Went there with Trinity?
No, I went there with a couple friends from back home here. Yeah, Brian Roeder. Norm and John Swisher, Charlie Shotwell.
Okay.
I actually went with Charlie Shotwell. We drove down together, but we all met at the same hotel and stuff. And funny story, and I think I told this on the podcast. I think I told this on the podcast a long time ago. Anyway, me and Charlie are driving down the road, and we're following friends, right? And there are a couple cars ahead of us. Well, anyway, they have nothing to do with the story, to be honest with you. But anyway, as we're driving down the road, I said to Charlie, because there's a hot chick just walking by, and I'm like, dude, check that chick out. So he checked her out, and then when he turned back around, boom, we slammed in the back of somebody.
Oh.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe Charlie wasn't driving. Charlie was I forget who was driving. I just know I wasn't driving. And but I was checking the chick out, and I made made the driver check the chick out, and all of a sudden turned back around, was slammed right in the back of it. I think it was like one of those Ford Fiestas at the time. Tiny little thing. Yeah, and we had a truck with a plow hookup on the front end of it.
So you just destroyed the car.
Destroyed that. The back end of that car was literally right up against her. Yeah. Luckily she was okay. And man, now I'm thinking about that story. That was like 1990. I don't think Charlie was driving. So where was I here? We were talking about the Nats. So you're at the Nats. You're at a test session pre-Nats.
Yeah.
With Spencer.
Well, yeah, we got up there. They were in the middle of a club race, so we watched a little bit of the club race, and then kind of got settled in.
They were already running the club race.
Yeah, so we just kind of watched.
Because I was wondering when you were telling me, I was like, man, how come you guys are not racing that?
Yeah, ran a club race, and we got there just to kind of watch a little, see what was going on, and the Spencer ran like one time, in between the club race and between rounds. So he got a little bit of just got a feel out of the track, just ran one time. And then Sunday that was their open practice day. So we ran ran a little bit on Sunday. And let's see, what did we do? And then Monday, we ran part of the day on Monday and then flew out on Monday. So, we got some running in. But it's a high traction track, or I would assume it's going to be a high traction track based on what we saw. It's a different configuration than it was last time. It was last time the track was turned the other direction. Now it's against the back wall, essentially. I think it's a little better than it was before. And I mean, if you're, if somebody's just wanting to turn laps and get used to driving their 10 scale car on, high traction, I think it's probably the place to go.
Hmm.
It's in really good condition, and we had a good time. Everyone's obviously always is super nice, and Mimi was, real accommodating if we needed something, and not like, uh, you know, not like we really needed much, but just a track, right? Just want to drive.
We need prime pit spots come Nats.
What's funny is we had prime pit spots there. We just walked up and there was an open table right next to the back straightaway, and we're like, all right, this is awesome.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Didn't
So yeah,
He didn't reserve it for you?
No, didn't even have to have it reserved. It was just
Oh,
ready.
did you just show up and they didn't know you were coming? Or-
Mimi kind of knew we were coming because Spencer called there one day just to ask what their schedule was, and she had caller ID, and she's like, "Are you coming?"
yeah. She gets
So
excited when the pros show up. It got me thinking, like, how cool would it be, like, you take you, Spencer, or Mayfield, or whoever, the pros, and you just show up at, like, a club race somewhere.
yeah,
Like, just one weekend, you just, find out somebody what their schedule is, and you guys just show up, and Spencer's there, and Mayfield or whatever, and you guys are just, and people would go nuts.
yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that used to happen in the older days when you didn't have so much social media and attention. Is you would make plans and you would just go, you would just show up and do stuff like that, and now you don't see it as much. There's definitely nowhere near as many surprises, I guess, is probably the main thing. Is you don't see surprises like that anymore.
I thought about, like, WWE would do house shows, and then
Mhm.
occasionally they'll send, like, The Rock just to show up, or Triple H out of nowhere. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, that would be
I was like,
amazing.
yeah, it'd be cool for RC guys, like, just go to some club somewhere and show up. Hey, here we are.
Yeah, it would be amazing. But it is a little different today than it was in the old days in terms of some of those things. But I think it would still be neat, and there's definitely probably a time and a place to do that and have some success.
Rob Sturgill, good friend Rob Sturgill.
Not
I
yet.
want to say something. I want to say something funny about Rob, but anyway. Smoothie 2 update. Anything? A snippet, maybe.
No, nothing yet.
No update on the Smoothie 2.
Nope,
Okay.
not yet.
SOL, Rob.
No, it takes a little while to get these things kind of.
Well, Rob, any update that Jason has on the Smoothie 2, you'll be the last to know.
Oh,
Kyle Chasen in the chat. What's up, guys? What's going on, Kyle? Ron Sure.
oh, Ron. What's up, Ron?
How's it going? Forget what episode we had Ron on, but you can scroll back and listen to our interview with him.
Yeah, we got a lot of pretty good questions here already.
Rick says, when are we gonna see pin swag 4-wheel drive fronts?
I don't know if we're going to. Let me think about that for a second. Let me take a look.
And you stumped him with this question, Rick.
I don't think we are going to do them.
Hmm.
Looking at some of my information I got here.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's...
So Rick is SOL.
No, I mean, we have a rear, we have a pin swag rear, but we kind of felt like the fuzz bite made the better front tire, but so not right now.
All right. So Will Brenton checks in, making V2 double Ds for truck.
I doubt it. Those aren't even designed. I think actually the pin swag 4-wheel fronts were actually even designed, but we didn't make them. But I don't think we even designed the double D V2 for truck, just because we just did the sprinters and they work so good. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see them, at least not right now. If the mini Truggy starts doing better or taking over, then I think we would see doing the 10 scale one. But stadium truck in the dirt, man, that has to be pretty rare.
What do you mean?
Just the current stadium trucks that have the most recent ones, they just don't race them a lot. I don't think in like normal outdoor dirt conditions. I don't know. I could just be...
Okay. Interesting. Charlie Mack wants to know, is Jason the Rona coming to Sonats?
So that would be the the Southern Nats, I guess, which is in Louisiana. Usually I go. Let me look at the calendar here. Depends if there's anything else going on. Southern Nats is the 17th through the 19th. Somebody will be there. Somebody will be there.
Damon Berkowitz checking in. What's going on, guys?
What's up, Damon? I think I'm usually at the Southern Nats. I think I'll probably be there.
He'll be there now. Now that you mention it, put it on your calendar.
Sounds like it says Ron's got some good news for us.
Sure for that, Ron. Yep, got some news for you. Well, is it good news or bad news? We may not want to. Good news or bad news, Ron?
It's like in the movie.
Or spicy news.
You know, it's like in Fletch, you know. Remember in Fletch, he gets in his apartment and he's like, oh, our problems just may be solved.
Yeah.
Ed McMahon, I think I just won $1 million. And he opens an envelope in front of the guy.
Yeah, because they were there to collect or something.
Yeah. Oh, boy, I lost.
Oh, hey, look. Problem might be solved here.
I lost again. Sorry.
Where am I at here? So, Ron, you got to share some news with us. I can send you a link, Ron, if you want to join the show, if it's something cool.
Sure, speed, Ron.
Tyler says, checking in from YouTube, by the way. Hey, Gotti, is the other podcast you have with Spencer? I'm having trouble saying podcast today. With Spencer on Spotify. No, we never did put it on. We never did iTunes or Spotify or whatever. We just did the video feed. And we actually didn't do too well on that football podcast because Spencer obviously didn't have enough time. And we had Justin Jubert fill in for him a few times, maybe even once or
every
twice.
time.
I don't forget how many we did. I think we did 6 of them, but
really,
that was, yeah. And then there was a lot of things going on that just really, I couldn't make it and all this other stuff. So didn't go as planned. It had nothing to do with Spence. It just scheduling. I mean, it just, I would love to do it though, a football podcast. Because training camp opened up today.
Ugh, football.
I would love to talk about my Chargers.
Oh no, we got
Justin Herbert.
we got a team flip.
I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, so I'm
You
hoping
know,
Brady
you
gets
know,
his 8th. I'm hoping Brady wins his 8th this year, and then
eighth.
I hope I get my number 8 in fantasy football. All right, I'm losing track here. So yeah, the football podcast that might be on still, but Spencer is really busy, so maybe just once or twice throughout the year if I can get my buddy Jubert to join me. It's Jason. We got that question now. Here we go, Jason. Another one from Rob Sturchill, actually contributing to the show. Sturchill, what is the feedback on the new phones for 10 scale, 2-wheel, and 4-wheel?
We ran those, and we ran them quite a bit at not the Desert Classic, the INS that was at Hobby Action, and I think smooth conditions where you have the high grip, they definitely seem to, I think, be the way to go. And the only, I think, downfall would be if the track's bumpy. They don't seem to handle the bumps quite as well. So, if you're looking for more stability, high speed, you got plenty of traction, and the track's smooth, seems to be the way to go.
Okay. John Bolton wants to know, how do you see supply chain issues for 2022?
I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to, what is going to hold there. I mean, I know that we've been pretty maintaining the same as we have in the years past. People people ask us all the time, of course. They want more items. They're always asking us about stock of things, but I mean, we're making a lot of items, and we're making more than we ever have, and we're selling more than we ever have. So it's not that we're not making it or getting it. It's just it's selling right now. It's things have been hot. RC in general has been very hot, so things are selling.
Rick wants to know, is there a good answer to Stadium Truck carpet rear tire wear? It seems like no matter the brand, they seem to wear very quickly, especially on outdoor carpet / turf. That is very high grip, where a buggy tire might last for 2 to 3 full race days. Truck tire might last for only 1.
Yeah, I think truck tires do wear more for some reason, and I think the reason that they do wear with the treads that are out, especially the one we have, the pin downs, is the pins are pretty far apart, really, for as to get traction on carpet and AstroTurf. The pins are have some spread to them, but that also makes them wear quicker. So, with the buggy tires, we've gone through several different variations with twin pins, and then now on the fuzz bites we talked about earlier, and all those tire treads seem to wear better than the pin downs do. And everybody in Stadium Truck seems to have a tire. Schumacher has like their old mini spikes, and then they have they're really flat and small, but they have single pins and they're spread out quite a bit. I'm sure those wear quite a bit also. So I think the Schumacher ones are mostly because they're old tires that were made in the 80s and the 90s, and the pin spacing's pretty far apart. And our pin downs are kind of the same from that standpoint, that the pins are spaced quite a bit. So they're going to grip well, but they're going to wear fast. And on Stadium Truck, I think the surface area that you're touching seems to wear a lot. So the answer in Stadium Truck would be more pins closer together, and which can be done. It's just Stadium truck always seems to be last in terms of everybody's response to it. I know there's actually people that use our front swagger tire, front and rear, on some carpet and AstroTurf because they do wear better. So it looks really odd though to put because it's this front tire, they put it in the back, but they don't work too bad. They actually work okay. I don't think it's better than having the pin downs in the rear, but people do that. So that's what has to do with the stadium trucks, the surface area. The tires are probably spinning more. The pin spacing of the tires, which usually makes the biggest difference. Try that front tire all the way around. That's kind of an interesting, if you had an associated truck, you can do that pretty easy. You can just, the wheels are the same front and back. I think the Losi truck's the same too.
Pete Phillips says races are just going to sand them down to slicks anyway.
Well, for carpet, they don't do that. They like running the pins on carpet, but for the dirt tracks we're typically running recently, yeah, he's definitely right there. We do a lot of sanding them down for that. Actually, probably primarily all sanded down. At indoor dirt races, I would say 80 to 90% of the races we're running today are all slicks.
Wow.
Which, it's really not all that bad once you get used to it, because at least it is somewhat simple. When we were on treaded tires or partially treaded tires, there is some confusion in terms of how much pin you should have, and we would call them ghost pins and all these type of things, and that is not as critical if you just run full slicks. So probably for the hardcore guy, it's actually probably easier. But yeah, starting off, it definitely makes things really kind of confusing. You just wonder why you're doing that.
Yeah. Oscar says, I see a lot more locals out here at Thunder Alley running J Concepts now. Adam Drake definitely has the influence.
He does. Yeah. I mean, that's, he makes it, he makes it a point to run a lot of local events, and he makes it a point to reach out, and I think people have a good relationship with him. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. He has a good relationship with other racers. They listen to him. And I know when we ran the Nitro Challenge this year, I would say that the majority of people that came to talk to me wanted the same tire that Adam Drake was running. He had that kind of influence over even guys like Mayfield and guys like Spencer. They're just like, well, Adam's running this, so it must be fine because this is he lives 4 miles from here. So this must be the tire to run.
I would, yeah.
And you know what? They did win. That tire did win. So
Justin Doyle wants to know, will you be at the Masters? At the golf? The Masters?
I don't think so.
I didn't know you were into golf.
Because we have our carpet race the same weekend in Minnesota. So I don't think I'll be at the Masters. I think that Paul would probably be there. I think he's, we always try to get someone there. We're a big sponsor of that too. So that's probably the schedule at the moment.
Justin also says 10 scale tire game so easy compared to 8 scale.
Okay. I love the outdoor tire game, and even the 8 scale one he's talking about, because I feel like you kind of have to know what to do and when to do it, and that's a part of the race. And even though in 10 scale it does get pretty insane at times running the slicks and how many runs you got and what sauce you're running and all that, but at least you're on kind of the same tire, but 8 scale, it does get confusing for sure. That's why it's better to keep it a little simple if possible, because I think you can you just chase your tail.
Jason Tail. There's a long question by Chris. Oh, it fits on the screen. Chris says, speaking of double D's, tires like that for loose. Wait, did I read that right? Speaking of double D's, tires like that for loose and loomy versus the high grip clay tracks and slicks. How do pros like Mayfield, Cav, like modern tracks? Or are tracks like we grew up on still have a place, and will we see a trend to shift back towards that?
I think what's funny is I think Cavallari and Mayfield and even Spencer are in um, the time frame of racer that still has very good thoughts about racing outdoors with pin tires. Mayfield did a bunch of it at his home track at SRS. So did Spencer. Um, Cavallari has done a bunch of it. I mean, when you talk to Cavallari about races that he loves, typically his favorite tracks to visit were either Lake Park when he came there and raced 10 scale. And then when he did Minreg, when you talk to him, he loves those two tracks, and they were pin tires. And he has a really good, those guys have a really good memory of it. I think there's another generation, even Dakota. I think Dakota has a memory of pin style tracks, and they all like them. Today's racing, I think they feel like with the slicks is, I would say out of all the guys, probably Cavallari and Spencer, and probably like the slicks better, or they're the most accepting of the slicks. I know Mayfield for the most part hates it, hates running slicks, but he's kind of learned over the years to he doesn't have a choice. But Dakota's run it all. It doesn't seem like it doesn't really matter to him. He'll just run just whatever race it is, it is. So I think it would be nice if we had some tracks that offered that. It would be nice if we had a time period where we could get back into doing some of that racing and have a lot of coverage. I think that's what it needs, is a big event where you see people racing outdoors with pin tires and it has a lot of coverage. And I think people would fall in love with doing it again. But it's a lot of work. If you're going to prep an outdoor track for 10 scale cars, it's a lot of work for them to work well these days. And I think that's what scares off racers, track promoters, track builders, maintenance, is because it's a lot of work to make a 10 scale car work outdoors now. And the track has to be right. The one that I keep seeing that I want to run at or race at, I know Jason Santos checked in here on the comments, and he was just running at is it
Pit Stop Hobby?
Pit Stop. I always like the looks of that track, and I think it would be a great pin tire style track to race at. And I think he was just running his vintage there. But
yeah,
that looks like a great place for, I've mentioned, to have one of our J Concepts events, because we could run outdoors and it would look really cool running the pin tires. Like Damon mentioned in the chat here, he said sprinters at Mills Pond with a slight groove over everything else. And I agree. It's amazing. It's amazing feeling, running at that level and having that kind of grip. I mean, what Mayfield says now is he's like, if you race outdoors, you race 8 scale, and if you race indoors, you race 10 scale.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what he says. Is he's like, you know what? He grew up racing outdoors, but he's like, that's all I do right now. He goes, outdoors is 8 scale, indoors is 10 scale.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. I don't. Sorry.
Nah, good. Are you still there? I think I lost Jason. Did I lose you? Don't hear you, bro. His triple A's went dead in his in his headset. Say something. I hear you moving around, Jason. All right. Jason will be right back. And Rob just wants to know if you're how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you go. What the hell happened?
I think these headphones are really getting a little questionable.
All right. Rob wants to know if you're going to be in Nebraska February 2022.
We're going to start working on the schedule for the INS here in the next month or two. I know that they don't necessarily want to have the race in February because they're very scared of the weather. So, yeah, I know when we were there, it was like, I think it snowed 4 out of the 5 days that we were in Nebraska.
I remember that.
And that was the coldest temperature I'd ever been in. And I know Alex was really scared because the weather being so sketchy during that time. We might have to do some flip-flopping of the locations because of all this. So we're going to get into that in the next month or so and figuring out what the schedule should be.
Yeah, I didn't know it got that cold in Nebraska.
Oh, it was under, I think that was the first time I was ever in negative temperature conditions.
Wow.
And oh yeah.
Let's see where we're at here. Phil wants to know, is J Concepts not making dirt tires for Stadium Truck anymore? Been months since flip outs and double D's are in stock.
We are not going to make flip outs anymore, but we are making double D's and sprinters. So those would be the two dirt, quote unquote dirt tires would be sprinters and double D's.
Are they being pushed back out now? Because he's saying he's having a hard time finding them.
Well, the flip outs are definitely discontinued.
Right. Double D's?
I don't know where the double D's are. I'll have to check.
Okay. John Bolton says, been running at Blooming Prairie RC Park in Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. Pin style tires, double D's, been great fun. Is more of a challenge for people who are slick tire.
Oh,
is
yeah.
more of a challenge for people who are slick tire indoor racers.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be no question about it that people that are accustomed to running on slicks, you put them on treaded tires outdoors. That is one of the other problems that we're having is people that are accustomed to running either on carpet or running slicks, they can't make the conversion very easily. So getting them to come run on the dirt, I think it's easier if you're a quote unquote dirt racer to go to either carpet or slicks because traction is not a problem. But it's hard to go the other way because guys that are used to having all this traction, when they have none, they think everything's wrong. The car's wrong, the tires are wrong. And it's just like, look, we just don't have traction out here. That's just how you can't pull throttle wide open everywhere. Like you have to drive it. That's the old way of doing things is you had to drive the car and you could only power it and accelerate so fast. And you had to be able to counter steer and do all these things that were so prevalent, I guess, in the 90s. And today, you get on those 10 scale tracks that are carpet or Astro and, you carpet, Astro, slicks. And I mean, that thing is it's just on a rail, and you're just carrying mega corner speed. And yeah, it's just not as easy on dirt. You're like a constant little sliding and drifting, and you try to get the car to pivot around turns and then come out straight. Those are all techniques now.
Radio Impound Podcast checks in. No Jubert. I'll make time to do a football pod.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So that's Kirby saying he'll make that. Yeah, that's not happening.
No.
Jubert, quite knowledgeable in football, to be honest with you.
He's like blowing you away.
Kirby also says go Niners. Jason Santos, I've run sprinters and rips this year at pit stop.
There you go. That's, and like when I see that track, that's the kind of tire that would work there. So yeah, I mean, as Damon mentioned here, go ahead.
Damon says, imagine going from slicks and then having to mount a set of 3Ds in the morning for any outdoor track.
It's tough if you're a slick tire racer, as John Bolton mentioned, or a carpet racer. Man, you go and run dirt where the car is loose, and they think everything's broken. They're just like this, and like, man, do I have the right tires? And am I doing everything right? It's like, yeah, we just, it's been a while since I've been out, but when Paul and I traditionally would go out, or even when Damon was racing with us, or Lee and these guys, and people are like, what are you guys doing that it looks like you have traction? Just like, well, it's a part of the technique. It's like our cars don't have any traction either. It's just we kind of have learned over the years that the way you got to drive it. And what's crazy about all that is you take a guy like a Mayfield and Cavallari and these guys that don't do it that often, and you go and ask them to do it, they're still pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
Better than you would think.
I don't know if I missed this question. Did we answer this? Matt Nolte says, do you know of any carpet tracks that the preferred tire of choice are slicks and clay compound? My local track has the older gray Ozite, and although a lot of tires work, man, I'm having trouble reading questions today, Jason. You might have to take over. I don't know what it is, man. The fast tire and two-wheel are clay slicks.
I've never seen anybody compare them recently. I do know that Thomas Tran was telling me that for a while in Oregon, I believe, there was a track that they only allowed them to use slicks for quite a while, and they were using clay compound slicks. And they did that because the pin tires were tearing up the track more, and they felt like just running slicks was better, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think that might actually be a good way to go, but I've never heard of them being better. But I have also haven't ran slicks on carpet in a long time. So, where else we did that? We had a track in was it Port St. Lucie? Dean had a track there called the Fuzz, and I think you had to run slicks. And I remember AJ going there and running octagons, which is our slick type tire, and he did pretty good. They worked pretty well.
All right, Allison checking in. We're not making 30-40 flip outs, but still making double Ds and flip outs and sprinters. Sorry, it's been a crazy year. Jason's like, is she correct on that? The boss would know, Jason.
It is Chris mentioning.
Which he's got two questions here. Chris says it's there we go. We'll go to this one. It's fun flipping through old RC Car Action magazines, and many of the pics have cars spinning out or drifting through corners versus driving around the track like high bite.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you look at these pictures today, when Thomas was shooting a lot of photos for us, and then, Hannah's shooting photos now, you look at the 10 scale cars and they're just loaded in turns, or they're wheeling, or it's a jump, whipping it in the air in the jumps, which is more possible with more traction. And um, so, and back then, like you say, you would see, car action when I was, put up the, the beginning of races where all the cars are
Yeah.
sliding and spinning out, like he's saying, and the
Yep.
dirt's moving. But and that was probably the heyday of 10 scale. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say the heyday, but maybe the golden age, I guess you could say. The old, and the Winter Champs was a big race that was like that. That was one you saw in car action, and there were others. But the Blue Groove came pretty quick. I mean, by the time we were racing in 1995, we were running a Blue Groove track at Lake Park, and you just can't control it. You can't keep enough water on a track, or you can't keep it mixed up enough to keep the groove surface away. It's like when Scotty Ernst does the Chili Bowl race every year in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They have to redo the track every hour. Is it round between rounds? They redo the track several times a day because it's just like I'm talking about. And this is indoors. This isn't even out the sun.
Wow.
But they run the oval cars. They tear up the whole track first with, like a little tiller thing. And then they roll it flat. They let the cars run. And after like an hour of races, it's completely blue grooved and it's wearing tires. And they have to stop racing. They tear the track up again, lay it back down so it stays somewhat easy on tires. And um, yeah, I mean, that's how outdoor tracks are. So it's hard to keep them in that old style condition, especially when you run a large event because you have so many drivers, so many racers. That was the problem at Winter Champs was there was 450 entries, 15 heats of two-wheel modified. So there was 150 plus entries just in two-wheel modified, and you couldn't keep the track like that all day long. You went through cycles. You'd have a few hours in the morning when the track was a little wet and a little tacky, and then it would go kind of loose, and then it would get hooked up. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a long time ago already.
Yeah. Very long time ago. Sickening. Chris also says we used to run Proline primes or slicks with sauce, and it was a dual purpose because we also ran sedans on it. He raced with Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a good way to go. And as Paul mentioned here in his next, he said slicks on carpet's tough because of the sauce and trying to keep them clean. I think that was a problem they were having at Dean's track, the Fuzz. There's like, it seems like everybody's looking for that perfect thing, right? That perfect scenario, the perfect storm. And there's always a downside to everything. It seems like there's no just perfect, exact perfect combination. You want a track to be consistent from round to round of qualifying. You can TQ any time of the day. It has to be some type of, it has to be, the condition has to hold. Like we were just at Mimi's, they have glue on the track. It's a glue, I think it's like Elmer's glue or something.
What?
Yeah, it's a glued track, but if in terms of being consistent and the same every time you're out there, it's a great way to do it. But then there's a downside to that. So, I don't know. There is no perfect situation. You just have to adapt to what's available and run it until there's a new trend, and you go through that one, and then there's another trend. And it's like we just ran the E Nationals at SS Hobbies, and they decided not to sugar the track because people were, I will say, complaining. The last time we were there, we ran 10 scale and the track wore tires. The track was wearing tires because it had sugar on the track. So the cars had traction because everyone likes traction. But the downside to that was it wears tires. So they decided for the 8 scale race not to sugar the track, and it made it a lot dustier and loose, and people were upset that they didn't have enough traction. So it's like, yeah, there's just no perfect scenario. To me, as much as I hate to say some of these things, the way the cars are designed today, and from a simplicity standpoint, these indoor carpet tracks are really nice for the way the cars are designed today. And the way Mimi has her track prepped with the glue is also a nice way to do it, because the cars work on those conditions and they're set up for it. And the racers have a little bit better experience than they would if, like, while we were there, Spencer and I, there was a guy there running. He said he'd been racing a month. He had a TLR 22 5.0, and he had just, it's like he said, it was a month in, and Spencer and I and him were the only ones there. And he would stand on the track when he was practicing because, if he crashed, he would get his own car. And, then Mimi kind of told him to get on the driver's stand, hey, try it up there. And he gets up there, and, Spencer's like, yeah, you should stand on the driver's stand. But he had just slick tires on his Losi 22, and he got around the track well. He could do the jumps. The car wasn't spinning out everywhere. The car looked good. And he'd only been doing it a month, and it was a stock car. And he actually asked Spencer to drive his car, because I think he just wanted to see what it looked like in the hands of somebody more experienced. So, when Spencer's driving around, he looks like a Superman out there. It's just like, he's going like 100 miles an hour, and the thing's just on a rail. And and the guy asked Spencer to drive his car. Spencer picked it up and did a pretty good job with his car, and he gave him some tips. But I thought the guy was having a good experience on the track because he did have traction. And so I think for today's cars and the way things are working, it wasn't a bad way to go. And I'm a hardcore outdoor dirt racer, but man, it is frustrating if the track isn't in good shape and you try to drive a 2-wheel buggy out there. Ooh.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
John says, if you go to any outdoor 10 scale track, make sure you have double Ds. Great go-to tire if you're not sure what to run.
So it really is.
All-purpose tire.
It really is. It's a great piece.
Justin Jubert finally made it. I'm late. We got to start over. Oh, you got to start over. Jubert's late. I'll show him my shirt. Look at this.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, buddy?
Well, what's nice about being a Patriots fan is now you can claim the other title as well.
Patriots? Bucks.
Well, I would imagine if you're a Pats fan, you're claiming that as a title too. You're like, well, we had him for so long, and we taught him everything he knows.
Yeah. I like standing up, man. Back doesn't hurt as much. Checkered past.
Press conference.
Yeah. You are fake news. Used to go like that.
Fake news.
Fake news. Checkered past, cheering for the University of O Duck guy, Oregon, checking in. There you go. See? Justin Herbert. Los Angeles Chargers, baby. Chargers, I'm all in. Huh? I'm all in. That's my West Coast team. I got a West Coast team, East Coast team. Cheering for Brady. Got 3 teams really in the game. But, I play fantasy football, so I got to watch everything. I can't just watch one team. Road to 8. Exactly, Jubert. Road to 8. Me
Don't
too.
Even get them started.
Eyes on 8 for me too, man. I'm going for my 8th fantasy football championship. Yeah. Okay. I think we're all caught up.
We seen if Damon's still watching. We got to see if he's ready to come out of retirement yet. It's not.
Damon.
He's not too old.
Damon can join the show if he would like to. I put a link in the comments. Anybody who wants to join the show, you can join the show. I'll put you backstage here, throw you up on the screen. You don't have to be on video, but you could do audio. And it's really easy through the phone. You just click on that link and boom. Yeah. Damon? We're waiting on Damon.
Yeah.
You said earlier the old Bose headphones is letting you down, Jason. Is that what you're using there? The old Bose?
Yeah, they're old. These are very old, and they're only ones I still have that plug in, and they work good for this. But yeah,
sometimes they cut out.
Yeah, like if I touch them, it just starts like making all this.
You can't move much because otherwise.
Yeah, you gotta stay still.
Paul Wynn wants to know: will you get an 8XL if you win it?
T-shirt.
Well, I'm not going to get an 8XL T-shirt.
Oh,
but I think he's asking if I'm going to brand myself 8XL. I like the XL to Kirby. I let him have that. Bill Collins wants to know, Jason, are you ready?
Yep.
Jason's writing the question down, then he's going to repeat it. Will there be any hard inserts for short course tires?
I wrote it down. We haven't planned on it, but I just wrote it down so I'll check into it.
Great product idea there by Bill. All right. Shirt. Yeah. I'll get an 8 shirt. Yes, not 8XL.
I mean, everybody knows that if Jordan played all those years he was out, he would have 9 titles. So,
dude, fake news. You are fake news. Right there. See them all back there? Look at them. Fake news. I really hope he runs again. That way we could just go through that whole circus again. I love it. I don't follow politics, but it was fun. Gotta love Trump. All right. We do miss him too. All the tweets.
Look at Rob.
Rob's saying yes. What are you saying yes to, Rob? The Donald Trump running again?
He's actually saying yes to the short course hard inserts, I think.
No, I think he's talking about Trump.
Oh.
I'll have to defeat my Kanye, though. Team Kanye 2024. Damon saying, I've been coming. Oh, what? Wait a minute. He may be showing up at Beachline?
That's what he's saying.
To do what?
He might be getting the itch.
Well, see, I called him out last week. Now he wants to come back racing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had all my chips in on you, Damon. All my chips were in on this kid back in the day, and I don't know what happened. All right, Buggy Brent, help us Kyosho guys with a new truggy body. Ours is so thin. Write that one down too, Jason.
I've made the list.
You just made yeah, you did it. You just made the list, Buggy Brent. If you don't know what that's referring to, look it up.
I'll write this down as 8XL shirt for Gotti.
We need a product idea, J Concepts product idea to celebrate, especially if I win 8. Celebrate my 8th fantasy football championship. Buggy Brent's saying thank you for writing that down, Jason.
No problem.
Help him out. Help these Kyosho guys out.
Well, what might end up happening is the body that we're making it might fit on the Kyosho. So that's kind of, but
There you go.
when we get done, that might be something that could be checked. You don't see a lot of people with the Kyosho cars, as Chris is alluding to here, but they are still nice vehicles. When you see the buggy, like a brand new Kyosho buggy with all the toys and tricks, um, yeah, it looks pretty good.
Damien saying, I keep looking at my two-wheel drive and wondering. He's like, it's getting the itch again. RC never gets out of your blood.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't. And what happens is when you do it, what happens to me is it's been easier for me over the last several years to not race for long stretches. But what happens to me is when I do race, it makes me want to race again. So because when you ultimately, inevitably when you do it, when you get that first race under your belt, then you're kind of like, oh man, I just need to put a little bit of more time in, and I'll get back up to speed, and so it kind of hooks you back in. But yeah, if you have the time,
Like when I watch 8 scale, I'm like, I want to get into this 8 scale nitro so bad, but I'm smart enough not to. It'd be disastrous. And I'm not going to race it anyway. I'd be too intimidated to go race it anywhere. I'd just possibly build it, maybe get bored in between, let it sit for a while, then start building it again. David saying, I miss hanging out with everybody the most, I think, was always a good time.
Yeah, that's always sort of the I don't know what the right wording is, but it's also that's kind of the side benefit of doing anything like this is it really is a good time, and being able to, unfortunately, you get to a situation or a position where if you think if the results are all that matter and the if you're having a good time or not is weighed by your results, then it's really tough because it's hard to meet that expectation. But if it's just being there, doing as well as you can and accepting it, it is a great time.
Just go hang out. You don't need to race. Jubert's saying nitro is fun. Then when it's not, you don't feel bad saying screw it, I don't want to race. Yeah. I would imagine it could be very frustrating. I enjoy just watching it, but I do when I watch it, I end up like, well, Jason, I'll watch nitro and then I'll be asking you questions, and I'll be doing a little research into the cars and stuff like that. But then I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to get into it. I still want my Mayfield Truggy though behind me here. I'd like to get it right here in studio.
I bet.
Pass it around like the Stanley Cup. Like I said, like you had it down there for the one show. Now ship it up here for a podcast. We'll have it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it back to you. You don't trust me?
Right.
So yeah, did we even? I know we were talking about you guys testing that Mimi's. Did we finish all that up?
Yeah, for the most part.
Oh.
I mean, it's it's tough. I mean, you don't kind of, when you talk to Mayfield about this stuff, he hates doing warm-up races or practice races because he feels like the track is never the same. And he kind of almost like specifically doesn't want to do those type of events. And, his theory has some, there's some weight behind his theory, which is the tracks are never the same. And then he gets hung up on what he did last time versus what he thinks he should do this time. And his theory is he's going to get ready and he goes to these events and he reacts to the setup changes and the tire stuff he wants to do in the moment. And he just goes with it. And that's his theory. I personally think that I have always, my personal racing, I have always done better when I had a warm-up race. But I was also never as talented as a guy like a Ryan, where he's not really worried about the track layout. He's not worried about the track layout. He's not worried about the driver's stand. He's not worried about, oh, where am I going to stand at? He's not worried about all those things. He's just worried about getting his stuff together and being ready to go when the time comes. And, so he's worried about different things. For other people, they want that advantage of being able to have run on a track before. And other people just think it's, I don't know if it's bad luck or bad karma but man, when we used to do the Winter Champs, I mean, we ran as much as we could and it paid off. I mean, we were competitive with the fast guys when they came in and they had a hard time with us because of that. And even though it never was the same, really, the track still wasn't the same as Mayfield would say, but I still like running. I like doing it. But if you're extremely talented like these guys are, you're not practicing the layout. All you're doing is it just keeps you sharp, I think. And really that's what we were looking for, is just some wheel time where you can run slicks and feel that super connected to the car.
Chris is saying, I ran Jason's Bounty Hunters on my crawler this last weekend. I really like them. Need the foams to break in a little more. Need to scale those Scorpios down a bit. They're a bit tall, in my opinion.
Bounty Hunter. So he was probably using the. So that was the small tire. That's the Class 1 tire, I think. So he's talking about getting the Scorpios down to a Class 1 tire, I'm guessing. We do have the landmines. People love the landmines too.
Yeah, a friend of mine up here wants some landmines. Try them out. He's just getting into crawling. Justin Jubert saying Turf Nats in Connecticut.
Yeah, we'll be there. I think Gotti already went ahead and committed. He's going.
What?
No, what?
Jubert, you going to Turf Nats? Does Jubert race the Turf Nats?
I keep telling Paul Wynn that I'm going to send him there sometime because I think he would like the track. But then I get scared because it's like, man, what if the track's not as good this time? And I just seem like I'm a BSer. You know?
Tool.
But
so Paul's never been there?
Not to the Turf Connecticut track, no.
Really? Oh, it seems like something he'd be at. Oh, okay. Justin's saying he was replying to Bolton. Okay. Oh, I got you. Okay. I'm out of sorts here. John's saying if Gotti gets an 8 scale, he has to race 2-wheel drive buggy at a J Concepts race. Well, guess what? Not getting an 8 scale.
Well, I think he's saying if he gets your 8th ring, if you get, well, here I am.
Because we were talking about 8 scale again.
Yeah.
No, you're right. If Gotti gets his 8th title, geez, I told you, man, I am out of it today. Can't read these questions. If Gotti gets his 8th, he has to race 2-wheel drive buggy at a J Concepts race. You don't want me doing that. I'll get my 8th, but I ain't racing 2-wheel drive. Not just, you guys just want to laugh at me. Hashtag turnbuckle gate, Chris is saying. It's still a big topic when Jason screwed me over at the Vintage Nats. Really did, Jason. People are offering me to run. Jubert saying he'll bring me a 4-wheel drive to run. I'm good. You know how I am. I don't show up at places. I just feel like I'm fine with watching them, especially going to LCRC. I like LCRC. I'm pretty comfortable there, hanging out, talking to everybody. Speaking of, we were talking about F1 earlier. When I was talking to Jason Schreffler at the warm-up race at LCRC, he was watching F1 races on his phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, the RC guys are really into F1 racing. I think they'd be in the rally.
And I think and maybe this is just my impression, but I feel like maybe more than ever they're into F1. I mean, I remember people doing it, talking about it before too, but.
Damien saying, I need to come back to try and tie J-Ro for Super Cup titles. Just did a quick count, and I got 15 number ones. So he's behind you by one, huh? Well, how many Super Cup titles you have? 16?
17.
17, okay. So you have 17. Damien has 15. That'd be a good reason to come back. Not only time, just go past J-Ro.
Well, we'll have to come up with a rule that says, well, if you've been inactive for several years, then that you kind of start back at 1 again.
Oh no, you can't do that.
It's like, oh, you know what? Unfortunately, we have to say that those are now not part of your. Anyway.
Justin Doyle saying, I know I did a lot of chasing tail this chase. I just saw it. All right, Justin, he's a married man now. He did a lot of chasing his own tail this weekend. Glad I got away one night with buddies. That really helped. See, it's like a therapy. Got out there with your friends. What did Justin do? Oh, he was at the
Sizzler.
The Sizzler Steakhouse race.
That's going to Sizzler.
Yeah.
He found out how hard those races are, I'm sure.
I saw that on YouTube. Live RC was covering it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had some coverage.
I should have watched it because I didn't. I could have watched Justin Doyle race, flip everywhere and slide around. And Damien says you're disqualified then if you implement that rule where if you've been away for a while, you can't race. So you've been away too then, Jason.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you can give yourself a pardon. Justin Doyle saying he has a whole new respect for those indoor 8-scale hardest stuff I have ever done. So how did you do, Justin? That's what I want to know.
Uh-oh.
Holes the size of cars.
And that wasn't even a bumpy track.
Oh. Justin was creating the holes. That's what he was doing.
You can go to the Wiregrass like me, Paul, and Damon.
Yeah.
The Ponderosa Steakhouse race.
Is that when's the Ponderosa Steakhouse race? When's that?
I'm actually going to go to the Golden Corral Classic this year.
That sounds awesome. Golden Corral Classic. Love it. All right. I think we're all caught up here. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
11 of 15.
11 of 15 or something like of.
I don't know what that means. He was in
place 11 of 15. There's only 15 people in this class. Will Britton says the Iron Skillet Challenge.
These
are great names for a race.
He said it before I could. That's a good idea.
Kirby checking in with
Bucky's
Bennigan's challenge.
Bucky's Truck Stop Championships.
Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese 500.
Bennigan's challenge.
No pro e-buggies. So 11. There was only 15 of those e-buggies at the Sizzler 500.
Maybe there was. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Jason, you've got some real questions. Checkered Pass. Love that YouTube name, by the way. What does Jason know about European turf tracks and how drivers set up wet versus dry tracks?
I actually don't. I don't know about that.
We don't know nothing about that.
Because my first impression would be if you could change tires. I know that, there's a, oh, now all of a sudden we get Dan Borkowitz in here.
Uh-oh. What's Dan saying? Dan's saying, I'm still undefeated at Wiregrass Indoor Nationals.
He's right.
Okay. Back to Checkered Pass question here.
I don't
what do you know about the European
because
track?
my first reaction would be to change tire compounds if that's allowed. And I believe that they do allow that when the track gets wet, especially AstroTurf is like, it's definitely like AstroTurf with water is definitely like ice, especially if you have the hard compound tires on. You just do donuts. It goes from like great, and if you spill a little water on it, you just do donuts.
Nice. I'd rather make donuts than do donuts. We were talking about cutting grass earlier and stuff. I'd like to convert my lawn all to AstroTurf.
Mayfield just put Astro in his backyard.
You serious?
Yeah, he just put a whole AstroTurf in the backyard.
I noticed in my Amazon on the app in my feed there, I'm getting a lot of AstroTurf. Like you can buy rolled AstroTurf to lay out in your yard. Looks really nice.
Yeah, that's probably what I should have did instead of buying that lawnmower.
Yeah, Jason bought a lawnmower for his guys that mow his lawn. It's hilarious. So did we answer?
Yeah, as Checkered Pass was saying, I mean, when I went to the UK and I raced many years ago, we raced on grass and they raced in the rain in the grass. But I don't know what they do to the cars, wet versus dry. I don't know what they change. I think like a Neil Craig or Lee Martin would be my point of contact for that. But I would, like I said, if the tires were open, I would definitely change compound right away. You can go to like a much softer traditional feeling compound and like you gain like a ton of grip. Gotti Cup.
I love this one here. Checkered Pass is saying the Gotti Cup 500 in his backyard. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to leave the house, which would be perfect.
You just look out the back window.
Yeah.
You could be watching on Live RC in your bedroom.
Yeah. And I'll just check in on it.
Yeah, it's going on in the backyard.
Man. Which reminds me, did you see the Cowboys training camp?
That's not.
It literally looks like they're in the backyard of some like a housing association or something. Looks like they're in the back. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure they're at.
What's the story with that?
I have no idea, man. But there's like houses and people up on their porches watching. It's like, what?
And they have like the most state of the art facility that you can get.
I'm sure they're probably at some college or something. There's probably student housing in the back, but it just looks hilarious. All right, well, Gotti Cup 500. If I get the AstroTurf laid down, it might be a possibility.
What was the whole sign we used to share with Kirby where they were doing like a college football game and they were holding signs and it was something like "You people are blocking the library" or what was it?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was from College Game Day, and somebody had a sign there that says, "You people are blocking the entrance to the library." It was hilarious. So good. There's a lot of good signs at that.
Yeah.
Mel Marks checking in on YouTube. You go to youtube.com/radio impound. Yes, the Chargers. My Broncos have something for Herbert. Okay. All right, we'll see.
Whatever ended up happening to the Packers quarterback, is he going to play for them or what?
He is going to play this year. He actually showed up to training camp yesterday,
Okay.
and I put the photos in the chat. You had the sunglasses.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
And he actually had a good press conference today, and he made a lot of good points, man. I mean, we're saying he's a jack off and this and that, but he basically called out the front office, and he wasn't like being a jerk about it. He was just saying, "Hey, look, this is what's going on, and I feel I should have some say in our roster. You know, we're letting go some good guys, you know, and what are we doing here? We want to win, right?" So I actually liked this press conference when I watched it, and you know, I'm easily persuaded, but
you're all in.
I was all in after that press. Before I was trashing him, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, he's got this is good. This is good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Checker Pass is saying overseas they race in the rain, which is really crazy.
Well, for Rodgers, it's a double positive for him, right? Because say they get mad at him that he calls out the team, and you tastefully, as Kirby's saying, tastefully trash the Packers, and they say, "Hey, okay, yeah, we don't want you anymore on the team. We're going to trade you." He's like, "Hey, I got my wish."
Yeah.
But then now he can say that he doesn't like the moves and get people on his side. Like Gotti, right? They're saying, "Hey, I'm on his side."
Oh yeah, I'm like,
and it's a win for him. So it's a win-win for him to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he did make excellent points. They did get one of the players back that they traded away to the Texans, Randall Cobb. He wanted Aaron Rodgers said, "Look, if I'm coming back, I want Cobb back." So they got him back today. So they're starting to make some moves. Justin Jubert's saying Rodgers called out the GM like no one ever has, flexed on them. Checkered Pass is saying were the Cowboys in Jerry Jones' backyard? It would make sense. that would make sense, yeah. But no, it was. I'm guessing they're at some college. Like a lot of these pro teams go to these colleges for training camp, and I think there was probably student housing in the back. It just looked hilarious because it looked like they're in a backyard somewhere. And then, like you said, Jason, they're the Cowboys. They have state-of-the-art facility and everything, and it looks like they're in my backyard. Justin Doyle, why is the Nats at Mimi's again? Is it because nobody puts in for the bid?
For the most part.
Nobody puts in the bid for the 10 scale Nats?
I don't think they get very many.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what? And they were scheduled to do it in 2020. So it's a carryover. Yeah, they're carrying it over. But yeah, I don't think many people put in to do these events.
Okay. That's shocking to me.
Which is what people have to realize too, that do a lot of the commenting. Like, you know, people got all upset in the, you know, like they're watching the 8 scale E Nationals at SS's track, and they're like, "Oh, this track," and it's like Roar needs to do this and Roar needs to do that, and it's like, well, not many people bid to have these races, so it's not like they had 20 tracks to choose from. So I like Joe.
What's Joe Zaire Jr. saying? It's weird listening to you guys at regular speed. I normally listen at 1.5 on Stitcher. I've heard that people do listen to us at 1.5. It's brutal listening to us at normal speed, so they try to rip through it quick. Rip. See what I did there, Jason?
You're clever.
Yeah. 1.5 or higher. I think it'd be hilarious if you go higher. Sound like the Chipmunks, the whole thing. 2-hour show in 10 minutes. That's my kind of, hey, that's what I do with movies. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
What were we talking about now? The Cowboys? Or no, the Nationals. Mimi's Nationals. It was a carryover.
Yeah, I mean, they were the ones that bid on it and to have it in 2020, and they're going to give it to him in 21. And obviously, people were making fun of SS's track for having the E Nationals, but
Why would
Roar gave him that race, and people were they're making fun of the track being too small for 8 scale, and it's like, hey, it is what it is, man. It's like that's what they had to race on, and they're the one, people, we're all the ones that are there, and then everyone else gets to comment online, and all the armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But
me.
whatever. Yeah, whatever.
I don't know.
I think I accidentally listened back to one of our podcasts, and it was in that fast. It was like in 1.5 or.
Yeah, you could switch it up.
And I was listening once, and I was like, man, I'm talking a lot faster than I thought I was.
That's crazy.
Because I'm slow. Hey, man, that's just what it is. I kind of think about it. I guess I'm kind of slow. I could understand someone doing 1.5. Putting a 1.75 or a 2 on me, I could see it.
Yeah. I'd go faster. It'd be hilarious. Joe Zera, Ran Out of Talent podcast. Check him out on, I guess, wherever you get podcasts.
Yeah, I would be interested, to hear what his theoretically, what he's theorizing is the amount of the track gets versus.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, when you look at the question you got here, it says listening to one of Keenan's podcasts about what tracks theoretically get paid versus what the tracks spend on holding it.
Listen.
And so the way I'm assuming this is Keenan was talking about what it costs to hold a Roar Nationals versus what you actually get. And
okay. Yeah, it's got to be. I don't know. Is it worth it? I got to get something out of it, I guess.
Well, going back to the 90s, I mean, the tracks never have done extremely well. But you know what? They do them at LCRC and they make it worthwhile for themselves. So, I still believe that if you do some of these things right and you put in for the right track, the right race for your track, you can do well with it. But if you're just thinking that just because you have the race, you're going to make money, that's not true. You have to do it like LCRC. You got to do it all right. You got to get the turnout. You got to have the track right. You have to have stuff in the hobby shop to sell. You have to have things that you can make money on. I mean, you can't just sit there and do nothing and think that all this money is going to come in. It just doesn't. So, so I don't know. That's
all right. Joe's saying Chris is right. Under Roar's language, the tracks don't make nearly enough to hold a Nationals. How much is the prestige of holding a Nats worth?
Well, that's what they have to figure out for themselves.
Got to do the math.
And I think if you do it right and you get the right race for your track, like if OCRC did the Roar Nationals at their track, they could make money. They could figure out how to make money. Practice day on Wednesday, Roar day Thursday, sales in the hobby shop, sponsors is where you have the opportunity. Sponsors like to sponsor their race. They'd make money. LCRC would make money. So if you kind of have your act together and you're a better facility, a better track, or a destination, you can make it work. But some of these other places that just think that holding the race is going to be enough, no, it's not going to work at all.
He also continued with, that's why we'll have Nats at 702 and Thunder Road soon. It doesn't cost a bunch of money to change the layout. Okay. Chris is saying the track definitely has to be prepared and equipped to handle it. The tracks that have done well are the ones that have been successful. LCRC. Kirby wants to know Wally pulled the chute on Mayako, is it? What's up with that? I'm out. And Justin Doyle said he was going to ask the same thing. So yeah, Wally made a post. Was it today? Today or yesterday? Ending his partnership with Mayako.
Well, the question is, was there ever even a partnership to begin with? I mean, there was no car. I mean, there was nothing out yet. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Was there a car? So there wasn't a car at the Nats, right?
No.
Because remember, I was asking if there would be one there.
No. And I think JQ. I think JQ is the only one that has one. I have no idea what's going on with that whole thing. It just it doesn't
is what it is.
It just doesn't seem like it's going to work to me, but
we'll see. Never know, right?
You don't.
So it's pronounced Mayako, so I'm saying it wrong. Mayako.
Mayako. Yeah.
I saw the video presentation they did. It it was a nice video.
Yeah, I mean, there is, and you know what? Like I've said a ton of times on here, there's a lot of things I agree with JQ on, but this is going to be a tough project. This is definitely not a mainstream way to do things. They haven't gotten the car out, and they already one of their basically Wally was going to be a service center. That was what was in the video for Mayako.
Oh, is that Mayako?
Yeah. So he was going to be a service center, which all these are kind of nice ideas, but I think he just got tired of waiting and he wanted the car to be out. And, a racer's a racer. You're like, I want the latest car, get me the new car. And I think he probably got tired of waiting and wanted to get on with what he was doing. And it seems like he's taking his Wally Builds thing a little more serious now. And that's probably not the right word. He's taking it a different direction in terms of a little more businessy. And maybe the reality is he probably won't have time to be a service center and do Wally Builds at the same time.
That would be tough.
The funny part is if you're building cars all day, every day for people,
I'd go nuts.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a hard time doing some of these things. You're going to have
work.
You're going to have a hard time doing all multiple things. So yeah, it's we'll see.
Yeah. Justin Doyle says, Jason, do you think there's room on today's age for new car manufacturers? I remember late 90s kind of a surge with Durango, X Factory, but seems much harder today. Well, that's what you were getting at. Pretty tough.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be very hard to get into the game. There's probably certain people that could pull it off, or it might be certain people that could pull it off. But to come in and feel like you're going to make a splash in the RC car racing business, you're way behind the 8 ball before you even get started, because you have so much to deal with now, keeping up with the different vehicles, keeping up with how many platforms are you going to be able to offer? There's a whole team driver network you got to deal with, which is exactly what this Mayako thing is about. Is it's about starting a new brand, in my opinion, anyway. It's about having a different brand and then figuring out a different way to go about selling a race car. And I think what it is he's trying to sell a different race car or sell a race car a different way with there's kind of a membership package and all this kind of thing, which is essentially just a way around saying that people are sponsored, and there's just a lot of different things to it. I really um, I don't know what the right word is, but I think it's nice that they are trying something different, and I don't think that it will work, but I think it is great that they're trying it, and it says a lot about people that are willing to go outside the normal and try something different because um, it would be easy to try to do it the same way everybody else does it. But if trying to do it different is it's commendable. We can say it's commendable. Uh, but as Justin is saying, Durango, X Factory, all these were very unique situations. Durango was a factory uh, in Taiwan called Kingstar, and uh, so they started with a very big advantage from the beginning. X Factory was probably the most unique situation of all, which was a father and son that just liked RC, and he had some money to start, and
Oh,
um,
really? I didn't know this.
yeah, and he got into the game, but never really had a complete car. That was the issue with X Factory is they needed an entire car, an entire platform of X Factory, a two-wheel, four-wheel at least, and there still was a conversion kit. And I just don't think there's just ultimately not money in conversion kits in anything. But starting a whole new company from scratch, I think there's people out there can do it. Like maybe, and it might be getting a little, they might be getting a little old for this, but say if a Cliff Lett wanted to make his own company for racing cars, there's people that would maybe recognize that. Um, Gil Losi Jr. or
Joe Johnson,
people that have
Magic
this
Motorsports, baby.
people that have a name in the business, maybe they have a chance, but it still would be very difficult, especially in today's day with Horizon buying so many different companies and this becoming um, more of a big business than it was in the past. In the golden years, the 80s and the 90s, which the Team Losis and stuff were a part of. It was more accepted back then. Today, it's going to be tough. Going to be very tough.
And back then, like if you let's say you're designing a car yourself, a big company would just come along and be like, "Nope, not happening. Buying you out." Right?
Say it again. I was actually reading the question. Sorry. Say it again.
Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
All right, episode 228. Thanks a lot. And we're gonna let's see. Where was I?
So
Well, we
Chris,
don't talk numbers, Joe. We don't talk numbers, Joe. So how many set of tires does Jason have to sell to break even on a mold? Don't talk numbers. I forget what the Sony PlayStation response is to stuff like that. I should look that up. It's really good response, Jason. We might have to use it for stuff like this. I just like having Schumacher tires on my A scale when we run the Astro track. Okay.
I mean, obviously, like we said, we don't, you don't really want to talk the numbers, but what people don't realize, I guess, is it's not only the cost of the mold, but you have costs in the product. So there's a cost of the product, there's a cost of the mold. So even when you sell enough of something to pay for the quote unquote pay for the mold, you still have a cost every single time you're making all that stuff. Um, Everybody does, no matter what it is, where it is. So, um, sure, it's nice to sell enough to theoretically pay for the mold, but there's still reoccurring costs over and over again with all these things. So, and what I will say is, over the years, we have been lucky to have a lot of successes with the tread patterns and the tires we've made. I don't think there's been very many that have been duds that have not done at least well enough that it, I don't know, not to really say pay for itself, but that you just end up, you would rather have not done it. So over the years, we've made some pretty good tread patterns, I think, that have worked, and we've been lucky to have a lot of good ones and very few bad ones. And I think even our bad ones aren't necessarily bad. They just, something was better. It wasn't an improvement over something else. So I think that was.
All right. What question you want to tackle next here? Where am I at? Chris is saying Masami left Yokomo and he and his dad are building an on-road / drift platform.
I've seen that too. Paul and I have kind of looked at that, and that's going to be a hard way to go because you're taking a car that's complicated to begin with and turning it into a two-wheel drive. Whew, I can't imagine driving it. It's like a two-wheel drive cars on road are horrible unless they have foam tires.
Imagine drifting.
So that's going to be a tough way to go.
They're fun to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, I almost see these more of like, they're almost like more of like social media project experiments than they are actual products. It's more like, let's watch Masami and his dad work on some projects versus, is this actually going to have any commercial success? I don't know. That's just a guess on my part. Yeah, we got Joe talking about Osmatics.
Can you bring those questions up too by clicking on them, or no?
I've never even tried it.
Try it once.
No, I can't.
All right. Where are we at? What question were you looking at, Jason?
Talking about Joe Zaire talking about the Osmatics. Yeah, what he was saying is you need to be way out of the box, revolutionary, probably to make a name for yourself. And I think that's definitely true. You have to really have done your homework and come up with something very, very good to make a name. And then you have to be able to manufacture it and keep up. It's a big job.
Sounds like something I wouldn't want to do.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Osmatics, as good as they are and as great as their stuff is, they still struggle. I wouldn't be surprised that it's hard to make a lot of money because of the business they're in. That on-road in general, the price of their cars with, they have a lot of carbon fiber and aluminum parts. They're high cost items. And then they're changing it, or at least an on-road, you change it a lot. It's not really usually the formula for making a lot of money.
Joe's saying drifting looks hard. All of them have gyros. Oh, is that true? With maybe the exception of Masami. So they're using gyros? I
guess so. I've only driven them a couple times. I mean, it just to me, I can't. It's probably out of everything I've ever tried, it's probably the least desirable RC thing I've ever done.
Oh, okay. They create like realistic cities, like the ones I saw on YouTube,
which is probably the best part.
That looks awesome. Like, it's unbelievable.
To me, that's like the best part. The cars themselves, I just don't like the idea of just drifting. I just don't get it.
All right. I think we had one more up here I missed. Chris is saying in a magazine interview with Kinwald, rest in peace, many, many years ago, he mentioned never going back to norms. What was in reference to? Does Jason have a favorite now? Defunct / closed RC track.
There's a bunch of favorite tracks, but
Wagon Hill.
Probably the original SoCal in Garden Grove. That track was amazing. That has to be the number one. I made a list of my favorite tracks somewhere. I can look that up while we're talking. But the
list of, look at that, Chris.
Yeah,
he has a list of favorite tracks. Wagon Hill better be on.
Never going back to norms. That means the track where they had the 92 Roar Nationals at Norms, and I believe it was Dallas, Texas. And that's why he said, I'm never going back to norms. He did not like that event that was ran there. And there was many, many problems. That's like a whole nother, that could be a whole nother podcast, probably. Talk to people that went to norms. That was long story short, the computer quit working during qualifying. The transponders quit counting, the computer quit working, and they started hand counting people without people knowing. And somebody, I forget who it was, maybe Steve Dunn, figured out that they were hand counting people. And they had to search out, go find a new computer. While they went to like another track to get a new computer, they worked on the track. And while they were working on the track, like we talked about earlier, they made the track better. And when we started qualifying again, it was so much faster. They shut qualifying down because the track was so much quicker than it was previous to that. It just was, the racers were about ready to riot.
Wow.
So between people getting counted, hand counted, I know of a person that timed their race with a stopwatch and gave them the time, and they allowed them to use that as their time. Then they had to go get the new computer. They worked on the track, and the track was so much faster. They shut down qualifying. It was just, and there was over 700 entries.
And they're also out of coffee. That's an airplane movie reference there.
Oh,
Jason.
sorry.
When they were mentioning they're going to crash and everything, and the stewardess is like, and we're also out of coffee, and everybody panicked then.
I think I remember that now, but.
All right, well, I tried. I tried to be funny.
That was actually, it would have been really funny had I known.
It would have been. So safe to say there's no drifting bodies coming from J Concepts.
Correct. I'd love to make a drifting body.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to be able to make a drift body.
But he's not.
Well, it's just, you have to be willing to go the extra mile.
Right. No pun intended.
You have to be able to go the extra mile. Because it has to be probably the best looking body.
I was going to say it has to be perfect, because those guys are probably
it has to be the best looking body.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work. All right, well, we got a couple more here, and then we're done. Damien's saying, what's your most memorable race before you started stepping back from the competitive side of things?
I would say probably the height for me was probably the Worlds in Pomona in 97. That was probably my most memorable race, I guess you could say. That's probably when I was probably at my peak of racing, and 10 scale was still very popular. It was at Low C's track at the Ranch Pit Shop, and I actually have that as one of my greatest tracks, was the Ranch Pit Shop. So I just had Lake Park, the Ranch Pit Shop, and SoCal and Garden Grove. I thought I had a little longer list than that, but I would say that's probably the most memorable that I can think of from a big race. There was others, nationals, at the truck nationals we had in Savannah. That was very memorable. the Roar Nationals we had thereafter that was combined, that was memorable in Savannah. The Truck Nationals at SoCal and Garden Grove, that was memorable. Anything going out of the country, the first Worlds I went to in Japan in '95, that was memorable.
Throw the 96 Nats in there so we don't forget.
The 96 Nats at Wagon Hill.
Almost ended the double X4 production. Joe's there. When you come to Minnesota in October, Jason, I have to get you an Elvis burger. It's a bacon double cheeseburger with peanut butter.
Oh man.
you gotta try it.
I guess we're trying it, but man.
Joe, buy that for him. I better get Jason buy. What am I saying? How silly of me, Joe.
I mean, how silly is that?
Yeah.
Talking about practice.
I
saw we had one up here somewhere about the drag race.
I'm searching. I don't see anything. Drag racing.
Oh yeah, John Bolton. What do you think of the big money drag events?
Okay. So what do you think of them, Jason?
Well,
here we go. Yep. I feel like we talked about this before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of racing having these events for the big money, and
I don't like anything that involves running for money or anything like fancy football leagues. I hate the ones with money involved in that. Like I just do. I'm more of a bragging rights type guy, get my name on a trophy, stuff like that, than I am money, because it becomes a whole different game then when money's included.
You know, it would be nice to win it if there's any of these drag races, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, 25,000. Sure, it'd be great to win it, but I think once you figure out who the favorites are and you know that they're signed up, I think people aren't going to do these events anymore because they know who the money's going to go to. Right. And I think the example we used before is if you called the Silver State Nitro Challenge a $40,000 money race in 8-scale buggy.
You know, it's going to Mayfield or Spencer or Dakota.
Well, one of these guys is going to win it, and so you're going to get 12 entries. So, and then you won't be able to put together the $40,000 to do it. So I think ultimately it's cool. It's cool that they're out there and people are willing to do it. And that's the buzz term right now. And if you win in drag racing, you got to stack the hundreds out on the car because that's what people want to see. And and it's kind of a neat plug for RC right now. But ultimately, I don't know that I never got up on any of these driver stands or anything and thought about, man, what money am I going to win right now? Like it's just always been more about the win than about the money. Certainly I'm not a guy like that races for money, but and you know what? It would be a hell of a thrill to win, right? I mean, your reaction would have to be huge if you were able to win, 20, 30, 40 grand on one race, but man, I just don't know if that's going to last. I would like to see it not have to be a cash race to get the numbers. That I would be a little more impressed. Yeah, I think what Damon's saying is probably right.
He says, I think the cash races would do good to get RC a little more mainstream for the flash factor, but it's most likely not sustainable for the industry itself.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I mean, we're all kind of guessing, but so.
I mean, what do you mean?
I just think as soon as you know who the favorites are and you know they're signed up for the event, you're not going to get as many people wanting to do it because they know who the favorites are. Yeah, I could be wrong about that. Maybe everyone feels like they have it figured out and that they're a favorite, but I feel like if you made a $40,000 race at the Silver State and 8 scale buggy, you'd get 12 entries. Like, and that just, and there's a lot more to it in off-road racing or any kind of road course racing. You know, it's a lot more about the driving. Any type of road course or off-road races are more about the driving, whereas drag is more about the car and what you know about what you're doing with the car. It's like it flip-flops, you know, like in off-road or any kind of road course racing, you could say it's 90% driver and 10% car. Whereas in drag racing, it might be the opposite. You know, it might be 90% car and 10% driver. And maybe that's what people are attracted to or they sign up for because they realize, hey, maybe I got that 90% figured out, but we'll see where it goes. I don't know that I don't think it's the end all be all. I don't think it has to be for money to be successful. I guess that's my standpoint is there's plenty of people that get into RC because they like it, not because they win any money to do it. And right now, I think it's just sort of a glam factor.
John Bolton checking in here with the P-Main Trophy 4 foot tall. Which reminds me, Sticky Kicks had a post this week that said, tell a sad RC story in 4 words. And I wrote, won the P-Main.
That's a good one.
There you go. Pete Phillips is saying, racing has always been about the experience. For me, I do it for fun. Exactly. We spend a lot of money to have fun. There you go. Fantasy football, same way with me. I just do it for fun, bragging rights. I'm in a money league, but I don't, you know, and I won the money league, which was nice, but I didn't really care. Damien, drag seems to offer a little more room for smaller names to upset a bigger name due to the race is over in a couple seconds. That could play a factor.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is when it's 90-10, if it's 90% car, 10% driver, then that upset I think is a little more, it could happen a little easier. But you know, when you're an off-road racer, if it's 90% driver, 10% car, getting that upset's going to be difficult. Yeah, that's the allure.
Justin Doyle thought I would have wrote aluminum turnbuckles broke me. That would have been good too.
It is 4 words.
It is. It is. I checked it too before I put that up there. I counted myself 1, 2.
Justin Doyle, he is our resident time traveler eyewitness.
Yeah. He sent that's an old post, by the way. Okay, well, we're not done yet here, Jason. Andrew Bishop checking in says, hey, Jason, might be a bit off topic, but we have a lot of rain in the Northeast on some turf tracks. Any plans on possibly offering a softer compound / rain compound?
Watch this.
Fire. You just made the list, Andrew. That idea is making the list. Nice. He is writing that down currently. It will be brought up in the meeting tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Good. All right. You like it. Yeah, I think we're good there. Look at that. 2-hour pod. You can listen back at 1.5 or 2.0 speed. Finish it off pretty quick.
4.0.
4.0.
Do they make a 4.0?
I don't know what you know what? I don't speed up my podcast, but I know that's there. So let me just check it out and see what I can listen to here. We'll go to my Robert Ory podcast, one of my new favorite podcasts I listen to.
Oh, geez.
He has a good podcast.
Does he?
Yeah, it's called Big Shot Bob Pod with Robert Ory. It's good though. They talk about it. It's once a week. Once a week he's on. Let's see how we can speed this up. Well, that's yeah. We can go up to 2.0. At least
That's
on the Google app. Google Podcast 2.0.
It's like Joe's almost listening to him at max speed.
Yeah,
He's 1.5. He's like,
I know Pete Phillips is also he listens to him max speed, I believe.
Does he?
Yeah, or 1.5. Yeah.
I wonder what that.
It's so they can get through podcasts quicker and go on to other ones, because a lot of people have a huge podcast list.
Yeah, I wonder if that says something about, the way people take in information too. Like, do they like to take it, they take it in fast and they want to move on to something, or some people like to make it last or treasure it or something. I wonder if there's something to all that, like the way people take in the information.
Andrew's saying, awesome. Love hearing the podcast on Spotify. So he's listening on Spotify. Keep up the good work there, Jason. And me too, I guess.
We're trying.
Don't forget, you can also watch on YouTube, as you're doing right now. But maybe there's audio listeners right now. We have a few people that say, "Oh man, I didn't know you were broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube." That's awesome.
The YouTube comments are really kind of cool and just something you wouldn't expect, right?
Yeah, right. Because I don't really, I just always forget to promote YouTube. So we don't have a large subscriber count on there. But go over there, tell a friend, subscribe. YouTube.com/Radio Impound. Justin Doyle saying BMX Olympics has turf infields, which I love. We can get on this subject with turf infields, Jason, but I do need turf infields at some of these big races when I'm watching them. And I think Jason froze for a little bit. Oh, there you are. Okay.
BMX.
I think you're still frozen a little bit. You must be downloading something.
No.
There you go. So they have turf infields, which, Jason, I wish a lot of these RC tracks would have turf infields. As I'm watching on Live RC, it's a little more friendlier to the eye. Who else agrees with me out there?
It's nicer.
Yep. There we go. YouTube comment. Mel Marks is saying, good question, Andrew, like Schumacher's silvers. So Andrew had the rain question. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So Jason's writing something else down. See that, guys? Where else can you talk to the CEO directly and have him mark down your ideas? John Bolton, Jason is saying aluminum Gotti turnbuckles would be great for drag cars. There you go.
Hey, like this.
You just made the list. Yeah, Damien, whether it's turf or paint, colored infields look awesome. Absolutely. And just so much easier to watch. So I wish a lot of these big races, while I'm watching on Live RC, wish they had painted infields. I realize there's a cost to it, but it just looks so much nicer. It's got to be easier on the eyes for the drivers too, you would think.
Absolutely.
So let's make a push for these big events, painted or turf infields. Andrew's saying an awesome turf race I attended had sand in the turf. It was turf tennis court. It was way different than standard turf, Jason. Ever heard of that one?
I've heard of dirt getting into the turf, but I don't think I've ever heard of it on purpose.
All right. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. This was episode 228. Good show. A lot of people participating in the chat. Appreciate everyone showing up.
Time for dinner.
I'll have this. Yeah, I'll have this all uploaded. I'll have the audio version uploaded tonight for you guys on wherever you grab your podcast from. And of course, the video version's already up on Facebook and YouTube. Look at that quick turnarounds, Jason.
Road to 300.
Road to 300. Justin Juber says we had sand, media, turf, and it was terrible, whatever that means. John Bolton, road to 300. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Damon, peace.
Peace out. Everybody's saying bye. So we appreciate everybody joining us. And yeah, definitely talk about a comeback there too. So, all right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you for 229 sometime very soon. See ya.